It all began as a vision emblazoned across 14 acres of Arizona landscape, a dream of wholeness, security, and longevity. The Browns envisioned 4 homes sprouting from the earth, each wife having her domain, children playing freely among yards, and grandchildren growing up together. Cody, being the patriarch, would head up what was to be an enduring family legacy. Coyote Pass was to be where that legacy bedded down and lasted forever. Old Sister Wives video recorded that hope in the raw moment. The family took the land for the first time, pointing, laughing, and smiling as Cody threw his arms wide and said, "This is it! This is our forever home." To them, the earth was not dirt, it was a promise. But time has made that promise something other. The moments of happiness are now superseded by images of tension. Janelle is clearly agitated, Cody is confrontational, and Robyn is crying. The land that was so full of hope is now unoccupied, desolate, and haunted by shattered vows. The dream has been extinguished, but the debt still exists. What should have been a foundation for the future has instead become a fault line, splitting the family apart. And now the bill is coming due with a vengeance. This is the trial of Coyote Pass. We're not here to recycle the same arguments you've already heard. We're here to present new information, to connect the dots the cameras never show. This is a matter of balancing cold, hard figures against a dwindling recollection of what was once promised. Today, we will look at the receipts, pick apart the books, and reveal an insider story from the depths of Flagstaff's financial community. That insider says Cody Brown has already made a clandestine, desperate attempt, a bet so risky it put the property itself on countdown. The clock is ticking, and it's not a matter of whether the land will be sold, it's how soon foreclosure might push their hand. This is the kind of reporting you won't read anywhere else. Beneath the shiny headlines, beneath the tightly edited show, this is the truth hidden in the paperwork and the rumors of those who know too much. And if you wish to join us in this tale as it develops, if you have faith in the strength of evidence, then it is time to seal in, because we are going to introduce our exhibits, one after the other, in Coyote Pass's trial. Exhibit A, the start, the original sin, the purchase itself. Each trial begins at the beginning, and for the Browns, that was 2013. Back from Las Vegas, having just sold their 4 houses in the cul-de-sac, they had cash in hand, a head of steam, and a dream for a common future that seemed invincible. They did not purchase 1 plot of ground, they purchased 5. Together, those acres cost $820,000. Part of that bargain was the notorious joint lot by the pond, intended to be a common area for parties and family memories. The files document how it was accomplished. They dumped in money from the home sales in Vegas and added on top of that a sizable real estate loan. From day one, this wasn't an emotional gambit. It was a financial wager, a bet piled on loans, leverage, and optimism. And optimism appeared unlimited at that point. Flashback to 2018, when Cody walked the dusty soil of Coyote Pass with his wives and began mapping out the kingdom. "Right here," he said, pointing at the ground. "This is where my house will stand. Robyn, your home will be over there. Janelle, you'll have the best view. Mary, you'll be down by the trees. Christine, right here next to us. The grandkids will run across the fields and we'll gather for campfires at night. This is the culmination of everything we've worked for. That was the pitch. That was the sales job Cody gave not only to his wives and children, but also to the audience watching at home. It was a promise of permanence, a promise of a polygamous dynasty rooted in Arizona soil. But that promise was from another era. It was from a world of low interest rates, one financial unit where all the family moved in the same direction. That era is over now. What remains are debt, discord, and a dream that has turned to dust. All of those pillars have since collapsed into dust. What is left is not the promise of a dynasty, but the weight of a liability. And that liability leads us to Exhibit B. Exhibit B is the evidence locker. The receipts, the numbers, the unquestionable paper trail of money that is the core of this case. These are not numbers on a spreadsheet. They are the hard, cold evidence of a dream that failed because it couldn't bear its own weight. Let's start with the market itself. The Browns bought in the summer of 2018. Then, Flagstaff's real estate market, like much of the nation, was on fire. Land was selling, demand was strong, and hope was a hot commodity. But the flame has burned out, particularly for raw, undeveloped land such as Coyote Pass. And when we investigated the numbers, what we discovered was savage. Take this one for instance, a 10-acre tract on West Turkey Hills Road. Fewer than 4 miles from Coyote Pass, Comparable zoning, heavily wooded, a good apples to apples. It came on the market in early 2022, just at the frenzy's crescendo, for $450,000. But it didn't move. Month after month, people walked away. After 312 long days, it finally sold. $340,000. That's close to a 25% shave off of its original asking price. In simple terms, all the value the seller hoped for was stripped away. The ultimate price was pretty much what that land would have fetched in 2019. Or consider another example, a 20-acre tract further out, albeit still in the same development corridor. It stayed on the market for more than 400 days. The seller had to cut the price 3 different times before it sold. The outcome? That property sold at a price per acre nearly 15% lower than what the Browns themselves paid per acre back in 2018. Think about that. After 6 years of paying taxes and interest, their land, Coyote Pass, may actually be worth less than the day they bought it. That is not an asset. That is a slow bleed. Worst case, if they sold today, they might get by with nearly what they initially paid. But life bites back harder. Add the normal 6% realtor commission, that's almost $50,000 lost right off the top, along with closing costs, and they are facing a sure loss. And that's not even getting into the 2 toughest realities against them. The first is interest rates. When the Browns bought this land, the lending world was a very different place. In 2018 and 2019, a family could secure a construction loan at around 5%. Let's run a simple scenario. Imagine building one of their dream homes at a cost of $500,000. At 5%, the monthly payment would land near $2,784. High, yes, but perhaps manageable. Fast forward to today. That same loan would conservatively come in at 8.5%. That makes the monthly payment on a $500,000 build approach around $3,844. That's over $1,000 more each and every month for one house. Take that and multiply it by the 4 houses Cody originally plotted out on the ground, and the Browns would be facing another $4,040 each and every month. More than $55,000 annually, gone, consumed by interest alone. This isn't a pinch. It's the difference between a dream and a money fantasy. The window to build affordably hasn't only closed, it's been slammed, locked, and barricaded, which leaves the second punishing force, the slow drip-drip bleed of ownership. Land does not rest quietly. It charges money every single day. It does nothing. Based on the Coconino County Assessor's records, the Browns' total yearly property tax bill has averaged about $7,000 annually since purchasing it. In 6 years, they have paid over $40,000 in taxes alone for soil that has brought them nothing but fights and broken promises. Coyote Pass is not an investment increasing in worth. It is a thorn that bled cash year by year. And the Browns are the ones applying the bandage. Let me say it again. The Browns have invested more money in taxes alone than the price of a new car. And in what? In the right to own soil. Soil that generates no revenue. Soil that, as the marketplace indicates, has probably devalued since the day they purchased it. This isn't an investment. It's a distressed property. It's a money pit devouring their resources year in and year out. They are financing a fantasy that has no likelihood of ever happening, and any sane financial advisor would say the only way to end the bleeding is to sell. But what if selling is not the whole story? What if things are much more desperate than we've been told? What if there are secrets hidden in that dirt? Secrets the show never informed you of. This leads us to exclusive theory 1, the developer's gambit. This is where we go beyond what's available on the public records and into the realm of insider rumors. And this is what you've been waiting for. The Sister Wives cast has spoken to a source, an insider close to the Flagstaff real estate development scene. In order to protect them, their identity cannot be revealed. But what they did say is a rumor that's being passed around behind closed doors. We need to emphasize, this is a rumor. But it is a rumor that perfectly aligns with what we already know. Late last year, our source says a local property developer contacted the Browns, specifically Cody representing the family, with an unsolicited proposal. And this was not for one piece. It was a bundle offer. The developer was interested in all 5 pieces, the 4 home sites designated plus the shared piece with the pond, in one all-cash, close, quick deal. Why would a developer offer such a thing? Strategy is the answer. Separately, the lots are clumsy, piecemeal, and hard to market. But together, they form something much more valuable, a unified tract of land that can be replatted, subdivided, and turned into 8 or even 10 smaller lots for luxury cabins or upscale vacation houses. And the pond? That becomes the focal point, the common amenity that unites the whole development. To a developer, the sum is much greater than its constituent parts. Now, here's the smoking gun: the offer price. Our source says the developer offered $850,000. On its face, that may seem a reasonable profit, approximately $30,000 above the Browns' buy price. Let's be a prosecutor, though, and follow the money. An $850,000 sale minus the typical 6%. Realtor commission, about $51,000, leaves only $799,000. That's a $21,000 loss on the purchase price alone. And that doesn't even begin to address the $40,000 plus in taxes they've already paid, the interest on their initial loan, or the loss of value due to 6 years of inflation. This was not an offer of salvation. It was a lowball strike, a predatory advance from a developer who noticed their vulnerability, checked the comps, and knew the Browns were divided and desperate. It was a lifeline intended not to save them, but pull them down. So what? By our source, it prompted an intense internal struggle. Janelle, always the pragmatist, apparently viewed it as an exit strategy. Painful to be sure, but an opportunity to stem the bleeding and cut her losses before things worsened further. In her own eyes, the land was no longer a fantasy. It was a bad business transaction, an albatross that was keeping her from achieving anything in life or in the lives of her children. In her mind, losing $60,000 today was preferable to losing $100,000 in 2 years. But Cody and Robyn didn't view it that way. For them, Coyote Pass isn't simply property, it's their final hope. It is the backdrop for their forever home, their castle, their kingdom. To sell, particularly at a loss, would not only be a financial loss, it would be a spiritual one. It would involve confessing to the world that Cody had failed, that the family was broken irreparably, and that the whole Flagstaff experiment had been an error. And so, the report says, Cody had no interest. He held on to the dream rather than grabbing the offer. He opted for pride over practicality. He grabbed a larger shovel and continued to dig the hole deeper. If true, this choice didn't just worsen their position, it set the stage for catastrophe. Because when you're in a hole, the first rule is to stop digging. Cody Brown, it seems, dug harder. And that choice takes us straight onto our next piece of evidence, a smoking gun concealed in plain sight, uncovered not in rumors, but in public documents. Because money is only half the tale, and while the financial evidence tells a dismal tale, we need to examine the map itself to see the betrayal that has made this property all but unsaleable. And the trail starts with Christine's flight. As part of her spiritual divorce, Christine sold her interest in Coyote Pass. The deed says the transfer is for a nominal price, $10. That's right, $10. On paper, it was a gesture, probably for the payment of her Utah house. But here's the key point. She didn't sell her interest back to the family as a whole. The deed was being given outright to Cody Brown and Robyn Brown. The foundation had been shattered by one pen stroke. And from that point on, the four homes dream became a legal impossibility. You can't construct 4 family mansions when one matriarch has quit and her property has been engulfed by Cody and Robyn's corner. That one deal took what was at first a shared vision and turned it into a private asset for 2. And Christine was not alone. Then there was Mary. For years, she faithfully paid off her parcel, owning it free and clear. It was her share of the dream, her little security. But when she too broke up with Cody, another silent but towering transfer took place. Her parcel, paid for and free, was retitled. And again, the deed reflected the same names, Cody Brown and Robyn Brown. This is Coyote Pass today. Not a vision of togetherness, not a family legacy, a map chopped up and concentrated into the hands of 2 individuals. The fact is undeniable. It is no longer the vision of a cooperative of 4 families, 4 homes standing shoulder to shoulder in harmony. That has been shattered. What remains today is quite different, an empire owned by 2 with a sole lone outpost behind. Cody and Robyn now control the majority of Coyote Pass, over 9 acres in their name when you total their initial parcels and the slices they quietly absorbed from Christine and Mary. And then there's Janelle, alone, left stranded on a 4.5-acre island, isolated not only geographically, but financially. This ownership map does more than mark land. This map tells a tale of betrayal. Because how in the world can Janelle ever recoup her investment when Cody and Robyn own most of the property and have every motive to refuse selling? The cold reality is that she is stuck. She can't just sell her lot on her own. Its worth is tied in with the adjacent parcels she doesn't own. Without easements or agreement from Cody and Robyn, her land is essentially landlocked. Only a partition action, a legal procedure, could compel a resolution, and that would involve years of litigation and huge legal fees. That's not a viable escape, and so she remains here, investing all her cash into land she can't utilize in a standoff. For Robyn and Cody, retaining the property is keeping their kingdom, their only remaining part of the family vision. For Janelle, not selling is seeing her funds disappear into the winds of the Arizona desert. This is not just a controversy over property, it's a game of chess for money survival. And as the board reads today, Janelle is pinned, checkmated. But this is where the tale of betrayal and danger takes its darkest turn. Because hidden behind this map of deception is something even more incendiary, something talked about in hushed tones on the fringes of Flagstaff's financial elite. And if it's true, it shifts everything. We refer to this exclusive theory too, the secret loan. The ticking clock. Sometime last year, or so an insider source has revealed, Cody Brown took the parcels of land, now in his and Robyn's possession, as collateral for an off-the-books loan. This was not a traditional mortgage, not one from the bank. No, this was a hard money loan, the last in a string of choices for desperate borrowers with no other options. These loans are brutally costly, rates of interest that are twice or even 3 times what a regular bank might demand. They are short-term, often 12 to 24 months, and they often conclude with a so-called balloon payment, the total amount, plus interest, paid all at once. Why would Cody use such a dangerous type of debt? That's the million-dollar question. Our source had only guesses, but the potential reasons are horrifying. Back taxes? Were the Browns so behind on house property taxes and for Coyote Pass that they risked a government lien? A loan like this would grant them time, giving them fast cash to pay off the debt. Or Robyn's debt. She brought financial issues into the family, and their own living style hasn't exactly been austere. Was the duo facing collections, lawsuits, or repossessions? A hard money loan would provide them with the funds to pay off creditors, but at an enormous future expense. And then there is the third theory, the most interesting and possibly the most incriminating. Was Cody funding something quietly? A project? An investment? Perhaps even a different piece of property? Off camera, off Janelle, off everyone. A secret war chest, funded by risking their dreamland. Whatever the motive, the details matter. Our source alleges the loan was for around $150,000. The term? 18 months. The interest rate? 12%. Which means that sometime in the first half of next year, Cody and Robyn will owe not just the $150,000, but every cent of accumulated interest in one brutal balloon payment. That is the ticking time bomb at the center of this saga. And here's the awful part. If they're unable to pay, the lender forecloses. They seize the land, every inch Cody and Robyn have wagered their aspirations on, and sell it to the highest bidder. In one stroke, the kingdom is lost, erased, and Cody and Robyn may still be in debt. Suddenly, it all makes sense. Why decline the offer from the developer? Because $850,000 wouldn't pay for the secret loan and the family's other indebtedness. Why the stress with Janelle? Because her land, her capital, can't be untied. They have to have it tied up as part of their collateral. Why the mounting anxiety? Because there is a countdown clock ticking, and when it reaches 0, the Browns stand to lose everything. The proof is obvious. The property records show divided ownership and a depreciated asset. The rumors point to a predatory loan looming over their heads. Together, this is more than a dream slipping through their fingers. It is a money bomb waiting to explode. And that brings us to the next phase of our investigation, the expert testimony. To test this theory, we took the entire scenario, fractured ownership, failed dreams, hidden debt, to a real estate veteran in Flagstaff, someone with more than 2 decades of experience in land sales. For their protection, we'll call them the Oracle. The Oracle's opinion was severe, but it hits directly at the truth. The first thing I notice here is not a property, they said to us. It's a problem. They told her that property like this, sitting unused for 6 long years, is what the business refers to as a stigmatized asset. Buyers and developers can smell desperation. The question always arises, If this land was so good, why hasn't anything been constructed on it? That alone destroys value, and for Janelle, the Oracle's verdict was harsh. Selling just her standalone parcel, they said, would be a nightmare scenario. You're not selling property here. You're selling a donut hole. And that hole, out of context, is of practically no value. Because when a purchaser sees Janelle's lot, the first things they'll wonder are, does it have guaranteed deed access? Can I put in power, water, and septic without having to beg permission from adverse co-owners? And the reality is she can't say yes. Cody and Robyn's packages literally hem in her property. They have all the leverage. If they do give easements, a potential buyer will think about making an offer. But if they don't, Janelle's land is a lawyer's dream. A landlocked, detached parcel that's not worth $300,000, not worth $100,000, possibly worth nothing at all. This is why the Oracle's testimony was so chilling. Janelle is not merely a co-owner. She's a hostage. Her financial future is tied to the goodwill of Cody and Robyn, and goodwill is something in perilously short supply. And then there was the Oracle's ultimate decree, words that should make the spines of anyone with hope for this property tingle. Forget the dream. Forget the profit. Forget breaking even. Your home is burning. The objective isn't to rescue the furniture. The objective is to escape alive, sell everything, offer the property en bloc to the first solid developer who knocks on the door with offers in cash. Cut your losses, sign on the dotted line, and exit. The longer you delay, the higher the flames rise. The ideal time to sell was 3 years ago. The second best time is now. That was the Oracle's sage counsel. And it left us with a single question. If they cannot sell, what about constructing? Could they at least salvage something by beginning small, by erecting a modest house on the ground, and finally converting dirt into value? To respond to that, we appealed to our second witness. Witness 2, the builder, a grizzled veteran of northern Arizona's rugged, high-country building scene. For the sake of this report, we'll refer to him as the Crusher, because what he excels at is shattering illusions. Audience members constantly ask, why can't they just build a starter home? Something tiny. Just get it going. The Crusher's answer? That's the most economically destructive thing they could ever do. He described it simply. Television makes construction appear as buying granite countertops and selecting paint colors. But those decisions? That's the final 5% of the work. The initial 95% is what kills people, particularly on raw ground like Coyote Pass. We call it site development costs, the Crusher said. And on ground like this, it's a beast. Step 1, utilities. There isn't any power waiting on the property line. You pay the utility company to string power poles, sometimes across miles of rough country. Cost? $25,000 to $70,000, and that is just to get electricity to the property line. To each home is additional. Step 2, water. There isn't a city connection. You're limited to drilling a well, which may set you back $30,000 to $50,000, barring the fact that you actually strike water or putting in a storage system. That means you'll have to pay trucked-in water for the rest of your life. Even the lesser option is a minimum of $15,000. Step 3, septic. All houses require it. Based on soil tests, that's another $20,000 to $40,000. Step 4, roads. These lots are off unpaved dirt roads. You require engineered roads, grading, gravel, excavation, at least $15,000 just to begin. Step 5, foundations. Flagstaff is known to be rocky soil. Digging up and preparing ground for even one foundation can cost $20,000. Do that times however many houses you intend to construct. Add it up. And before you've poured an ounce of concrete, before you've nailed a single 204, you've already spent $150,000 on the site alone. And that's the low estimate. Sound familiar? It should. That's roughly the same size of the reported secret loan Cody supposedly borrowed. Which raises the haunting question. Was that loan intended to kick off construction? Did Cody attempt to get the dream underway, only to find out how horribly costly it was? Did the dream fizzle into a half-excavated hole in a debt mountain? And that's not even including the price of a house itself. In Flagstaff, a simple custom home is a minimum of $300 per square foot. That's builder grade, no frills, no options. Which means even a modest 2,000 square foot home sets you back $700,000. Throw in site development, and you're looking at $805 for one single modest home on property you already paid hundreds of thousands for 6 years before. The witness of our experts is whelming. The oracle testifies that selling is financial agony, but holding is catastrophe. The crusher testifies that building is mere fantasy costing $1 million. Combined, their witness tells the truth. This family is stuck in a perfect financial storm of their own creation. And now, ladies and gentlemen, comes the final stage of this trial, the closing arguments. Judgment Day. For 6 long years, we've watched this land drain the lifeblood of the Brown family. It has cost them over $820,000 to purchase, more than $40,000 in taxes, untold thousands in interest. But the real cost cannot be measured in dollars. It has cost them their unity. It has cost them their future. It has become a graveyard of their dreams. The case for the prosecution is watertight. Exhibit A, the promise betrayed, a dream that was lost the moment Christine gave way. Exhibit B, the bank slips, tangible evidence that the land is a decreasing asset in an unfriendly market. Exhibit C, the broken deed, a chart that speaks of deceit, consolidation, and one family member kidnapped by the rest. We heard from the oracle, who informed us that this fire will not be saved, only fled. We heard from the crusher, who revealed to us the fantasy of construction as a 7-figure mirage. And we heard the most incriminating testimony of all, the rumors of a hidden loan, a clock ticking, a financial bomb waiting to explode. The defense will protest with dreams. They will talk of legacies, of forever homes, of promises on a sunny Arizona horizon. But dreams that cost money to come true are not dreams. They're nightmares. A legacy built atop debt, resentment, and deceit cannot be a legacy at all. It's nothing more than a curse left for the next generation. What rests on Coyote Pass is not a vision yet to become reality, but a weight pulling them all further into desperation. The sole option, the only sane and sensible verdict, is to sell. Sell all of it, every acre, every lot, every shattered hope riding on it. Take the bitter monetary loss. Accept the loss as a fee in the toughest school life has to offer. Halt the bleeding before the wound kills. Free the one who is imprisoned, release the rest from the deadlock, and provide each broken branch of this family with the opportunity to leave and build its own new life. The dream is dead a long time ago. There's only a corpse left, and it is time to bury it. The prosecution rests its case, but the defense stands defiantly, not with the weapon of numbers or ledgers, but with passion and belief. They say that this has never been about dollars. It has never been about mortgages, commissions, or appraisals. This land, they claim, is something more. It is a covenant, a holy vision, the final fragment of their shared soul. To sell is not simply to abandon property. It is to say that all they ever held true was an illusion. All sacrifice, all promise, all tears shed in pursuit of the dream would be made for nothing. They contend this land is not soil, it is witness. It is hallowed ground, the cornerstone on which a patriarch dreamed his kingdom and where his beloved queen would sit at his side. To relinquish it is to give up their heritage. Yes, the defense concedes the statistics are dismal. The market is unforgiving, the costs enormous. But what are numbers compared to destiny? What are financial statements compared to faith? Faith, they say, can move mountains. And a true patriarch, a strong leader, can bend circumstances to his will. To sell everything would be cowardice. To abandon the dream would be weakness. The bold way is to survive, to hold fast, to maintain the vision in some way, even in a reduced form. They are not arguing for liquidation, but for adjustment. Why abolish the dream in its entirety when you can miniaturize it? Dispose of one tract, maybe Janelle's. Invest the funds in extinguishing debt and in sowing the initial seed of building. One flagship house for Cody and Robyn. From that foundation, they hope the rest of the vision can one day rise again. The dream is not dead, they maintain. It only waits for the faithful to give it new life. The defense rests. The blinding light of examination now arrives. The defense's appeal sparkles with feeling, but figures are unforgiving. Let us stress test their strategy. Assume Janelle's package does sell for $250,000. After the realtor's fee, that leaves $235,000. But looming in the background is the shadow loan, a hidden debt of $150,000 that has to be paid off first. Suddenly, the war chest dwindles to $85,000. Is $85,000 enough to pay the $155,000 to get the land ready before a hammer ever swings or a wall ever goes up? No, it is not even close. The defense's strategy collapses the moment the arithmetic is performed. It cannot work. It is a castle built on sand. What of doing nothing? Of holding on and waiting while time slides away? That road is worse. Each month drains more money, property taxes, home bills, and now the silent killer. A $1,500 monthly interest payment on a loan that doesn't touch the principal, but merely satiates the appetite of the lender. That is not stability. It is a gradual death spiral. Each morning brings them closer to ruin, and so the court has a trinity of decisions, none of them pleasant: to sell out, to hold on for dear life, or to close one's eyes to reality. But the facts, when freed from emotion, leave only one choice. This property, once regarded as the cornerstone of a family's future, has come to be its tombstone. The decision is plain. The Browns will have to sell. But before the gavel comes down, one last nefarious theory surfaces into the record. A vile and distorted possibility that rewrites the whole story. What if the loan was never an error in the first place? What if it was an instrument of attack? Think about it. The loan is only secured on the land Cody and Robyn own, not Janelle's. Imagine they default on purpose. The lender forecloses, takes title to their parcels, and auctions them off. Because the property is distressed and mired in family soap opera, bidders hold back. The price crashes. And out in the courthouse auction, paddle in hand, are Cody and Robyn. With money scraped up elsewhere, they repurchase the land for pennies on the dollar. The debt disappears, erased by foreclosure. And what happens to Janelle? Her parcel, now landlocked and isolated, devoid of any hope of easements, becomes valueless. Her investment is lost. She is eliminated whole. The chessboard cleared, Cody and Robyn are victorious, kings of the land, their grip on the property absolute far-fetched? Maybe, but in a saga permeated with secrecy, betrayal, and financial straits, can anything really be eliminated as impossible? The trial is over. The evidence has been uncovered. The verdict has been delivered. The vision of Coyote Pass has turned to rot and become a nightmare of debt, denial, and backroom scheming. And now the gavel falls to you, the jury of Sister Wives fans. If it were your family, your finances, your future, bound to this accursed earth, what would you do? Would you sell at a heart-wrenching loss just to sever the shackles and escape? Or would you wait, grasping at belief as the statistics hide you under? The decision, the last judgment, is in your hands. If this investigation has opened your eyes, if you're hungry for more revelations that cut deeper than the reality TV screen, then be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Because beneath the surface of this tale is a truth that's darker, sharper, and more nuanced than anyone dared dream.